Thank you so much for coming out this afternoon. First, just a little bit about this Stable Owners Association of Alberta. Who are they? They started one day a couple of years ago with a couple of old guys sitting around drinking a cup of coffee in a service station restaurant by the Tempo there. Actually, they weren't old guys, they were older guys. They were very mature guys with great business experience and a lot of experience successfully running stables. So there was a young guy with us too, and he was absolutely astounded by what he was hearing coming from these two older gentlemen. I only saw him roll his eyes back about 8 or 9 times that whole first morning, so he was obviously very impressed. Our conversation focused around running a stable, having horses, and all of the different things that were coming that would impact a stable business. I mean, times are changing and everybody knows that. There's things happening in our municipalities, there's new land use bylaws. There's now talk about what do we do with all the manure, all the waste. Urban people moving out into the rural areas, and they're quite concerned when the horse next door leans its head over the fence and starts eating the grass. And there's just so many things aside from the care and careful looking after these animals. And then you've got a different kind of clientele, different expectations. And all of these things are heaping on top of all of us, and somehow we survive. And we survive because I think most of us have to be pretty much crazy. When you think about it, it's 24/7, 365 days a year. You're always on. What kind of people do things like that? Well, it's people who have a real passion, obviously, for the horse. Whether you ride or you just love being with your horse, there's a passion involved. I'm often asked at our farm by clients, did you ever take a vacation? I wasn't really sure what that word meant at first. And then it dawned on me, so my key response would be, well, you know, we're out here in the country, every day's a vacation. Other than not having a few big rocks and some waterfalls, we've got everything here that Jasper has, and we've got more trees now. So it's a life that not everybody can appreciate, but those of us who are into it, we do really appreciate it. These Stable Owners Association of Alberta, we have a board of directors, and I'm going to introduce that board. We formed a not-for-profit organization. We did it up just right so that we're all legal and above board, and we're able to operate with a clear vision. Our president is Mrs. Dawn Johnson. Dawn, can you just, wherever you are, just here she is down here. Dawn is our fearless leader. We have Archie Hurst, one of our directors. Cam Prouse, one of our directors. Hetty Clausen, one of our directors. And Lauren Oswald, one of our directors. We really stepped out in style. We also have an executive director, and he has helped us in so many ways. I'm not sure where he is around the corner there, but Burke Oswald is our executive director, a great communicator, and he does really keep us in line. So one of our main focuses of today, and we need you to tell us before this afternoon is out, is there a need for an organization like the Stable Owners Association of Alberta? And I want you to be blunt and frank and open and honest, because maybe there isn't. And we need to hear from you. We need to hear, if there is a need, what sorts of things should we be focusing on to help you and all of us better understand and better run our businesses? What sorts of things could be happening? There seems to be a real void since the horse industries branch dissolved back in 2015 or 2016. That Alberta Horse Conference was a major, major event in the life of Alberta horse people, not just stable owners, but Alberta horse people. And as a matter of fact, the last Alberta Horse Conference was right here in Strathcona County. Our county council and county staff got right behind us, and it was a very, very good show. Do we need more of that kind of thing? Do we need to have a monthly meeting? Do we need to have Zoom meetings? Do we need this organization at all? So I want you to have that in the back of your mind as we're going through this afternoon. Before you go home, we'll have a little survey that, very simple, you just circle, circle, circle. And you're not committing yourself to a lifelong job of being a director or anything like that. You're just helping us get some answers to questions from you people, the very industry that we're hoping we can serve. We even need to know things like, if you were a member, what's it worth to you? What should a yearly membership be worth? And we're not looking to try and trap you or anything. We just want your feelings on what's fair, what's honest, if there is a need, what can work. And then after that, we'll take all your information and we'll go over it, and we'll get back to you one way or the other about where we're going to go from here. But this afternoon, we have a great lineup of folks. And as soon as our Mr. Lawrence here gets his things sorted out, we'll be ready to go. I want to tell you first a little bit about Glen Lawrence, who's going to be our first speaker this afternoon. Known Glen for a lot of years. I can honestly say you've all got questions about the new ag facility. This ag facility would not be a reality today if it weren't for Dr. Lawrence here. He has been just a great person to work with, and in the eyes of the Stable Owners Association, it has been an excellent opportunity to learn of the importance of having a good relationship with municipalities, with your elected officials. This guy has helped the horse industry in more ways than most of you will ever know, and continues to do so. His head's going to swell a little bit, but it is so important to do that. There are things going to be happening around us today, like new land use bylaws. That's a reality in all counties. Now, Strathcona County, their own staff develop their land use bylaws. In other counties, Minburn is a good example, as is Lamont County is another good example. They hired it all out. They hired a consultant, said, come up with our land use bylaws. And some of the stuff that they have come up with are bylaws that are going to be very difficult to live with. And I'm not sure if they actually all went through or not. But this is today, and we need to be involved in helping our county councils, our municipalities, answer some of these questions. The one little phrase that we came up with, Lauren and I and Burke, together we're stronger. If we have a large membership, it makes it very easy for us to go to any municipality and say, we're here on behalf of the Stable Owners Association and we're here to help you. It makes it so much easier for us to go to the provincial government and say, we represent X number of thousands of members. So our relationship with Glen, and Councillor Corey is here as well, another rural councillor. They have made our lives very easy and very progressive so far. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Glen, and he's got some interesting stuff to tell.
Great, thank you very much. Yeah, that does kind of go to your head, doesn't it? All that, you feel like you're totally responsible, and we're certainly not. Nothing on council gets done without at least 5 votes. So that's always the magic number, we call it, the 5 golden rings. And if you can get that, then you start to get things done. So all we do is keep the momentum going. But thank you very much for that. And we have spent a lot of time working on this project. Sorry for standing in front of you there when you were speaking, Gary. We were just trying to get that set up. Yeah, so again, Gary did a good job on introduction. He did half my presentation also, which thank you very much. Yes, and I want to introduce Corey Harwood. She's here, Councillor for Ward 6. Aaron can't be here. He's just actually, I think he's in the air from coming home from Hawaii from a vacation, so he would be here also. A little bit about myself. Again, I'm the councillor for Ward 7, which is the southeast corner of Strathcona County. Takes in that whole southeast, sort of what we call the lakes area. And got a bit of a history there. My family first homesteaded in the Manistic area in 1906. And my mother's family homesteaded actually in Strathcona, which in 1904, which is now part of Edmonton, of course. So pretty good history from the farm side. And I just live a few miles from basically where I grew up. So that's really good living in this county. So Gary had asked me to talk about manure management, different things to do with certainly with horses, but just agriculture in general. So what I wanted to do was give a little bit of a history of where Strathcona County is when it comes to agriculture. So originally our agricultural organization was called TAS, it was Transportation and Agricultural Services. And out of that spun all the responsibilities we had under the Act, certainly under the Municipal Government Act. And a lot of that was vegetation management, Agricultural Service Board, the 3 ag societies that we have are Dawson, Colchester, and Josephburg. Also what we call pest management, things like coyotes, beaver control, these types of things fall underneath the ag department that we have. And of course we have several ag field people that work for us that make all that happen. Well, it was becoming kind of an old, outdated kind of model that we were using for agriculture. Agriculture took a pretty big slide here in the county for quite a few years. Everything tends to focus, and I hear it a lot, and I'm sure you hear it too, that Sherwood Park gets everything, and it's Sherwood Park. And to a degree that's true, because that's where, you know, the bulk of the people live. We're a specialized municipality, we're urban, we're rural, so you have to cater to both. But again, it's shifted. If we'd gone back 60, 70 years ago, you would have had a council that was almost all rural, with maybe 1 or 2 urban councillors in the Sherwood Park area. It's completely switched now. We have 3 rural councillors, but even that's thinned out from an agricultural perspective. So it really makes it tough to push that agricultural agenda. And it's great when you get your colleagues, the urban colleagues that understand and buy into that. So in 2023, we made a big change. We went from what was Transportation and Agricultural Services to what's called TEO, and it's Transportation Engineering, and that was a move. We pulled agriculture out of that, and we put agriculture into planning, into environmental planning. So it's agricultural and environmental planning, which we felt was a really good move because so much of that land use overlaps with the agricultural component. So just the planning piece is critical in how things are developed here in Strathcona County. So we have what's called a municipal development plan, and that plan basically dictates, it's kind of the holy grail of the direction that the county goes. And we follow that, but we needed to tweak it. Again, it was becoming old. So we moved forward to, just keep my notes going here, to a better and more efficient way to look at things. We hired a specialist specific to look into things like overgrazing, manure management, a lot of the issues that we were starting to get on our table, because we're getting more and more people in the county, and when you get more people, you tend to get more conflict. And we also get a lot of urban people that want to get animals, livestock of various kinds, sheep, horses, chickens, all of that. And sometimes they're not too aware of just what it takes to have those that responsibility, but also the responsibility to the neighbors and the community that you live in. So again, we stuck to the same basic theme: vegetation control, weed control, which is probably the biggest one we have. Again, our beaver and coyote issues, the Ag Service Board, the Ag Societies, and the Ag Fieldmen. And some of the more things that we're looking at is animal issues, overgrazing, and manure management is becoming a bit of an issue. Again, because we're getting more people sort of starting out small farms, and with that, again, comes the issues that we have. So we're very limited under the Municipal Government Act what we can actually do. So what we do is we work with the NRCB, and I've got this. This is really difficult to talk. I think when I step back, do I lose you guys, or? Okay, I have a pretty loud voice, so that helps. So this is, I put this slide in because it basically talks about the issues that we're dealing with now on a fairly regular basis. And again, you can see some of the pieces of that. And this is through Alberta Agriculture and Irrigation, Animal Health Act, the disposal of dead animals, livestock industry diversification and marketing. But the big ones are over here are on agricultural operations, the regulations, and all of those standards that you see there. You'll see manure characteristics at the bottom. That's what we work with the province. So if we get an issue, it's worked out really well for us to be in partnership with the province and also the NRCB to help us, because they can also have an appeal process where the individual can go to make their case if there's an issue. So keep that. There's their webpage there. Please write that down and keep that handy. Now, the other thing is you can certainly go through the county, and this gets back to what Gary was saying about working with the county and certainly your rural councillors. Never hesitate to call us. I mean, that's what we're here for. We technically don't work for the county, we work for the people. We're elected to be your representative. And sometimes it gets a little misconstrued. People think, oh, well, you're the county. Well, yes, we are, but we're the in-between. And you need to reach out to us, because we're only as good as you people out there communicating to us. Because if we don't get that communication, we just assume, well, everything must be good. And then unfortunately, we usually hear things kind of through the back door, and you're thinking, well, why didn't someone reach out? So again, I really have to stress that please contact your councillor, and also find out who your MLA is to lobby them on some of the more provincial issues, and of course even our MPs in our county to lobby them for the things that we need. We work very closely with RMA, which is the Rural Municipalities of Alberta, and that works very well. Also the agricultural societies of Alberta. We just had our conference this week, which was here in Edmonton, well attended, and it's that kind of information that keeps everything spreading out to the public, so that we can get that information out through our newsletters, just by approaching us. I know we're certainly very approachable. I much prefer to meet with you out in the field than over the phone or through email or anything like that. You can certainly contact me through that, but I have no problem getting out on site, and I can speak for my colleagues also. Very hands-on. All right, so I think we've kind of covered, I just wanted to show the other side of this slide again on the NRCB. I didn't put much up from the county because there really wasn't much there. This is where we tend to go when we have issues. And again, their contact number is there. So that's some of the different things that we deal with. Like I said, one of the big things we deal with now are overgrazing. You'll get people calling in and saying, geez, my neighbor, their field. And it's always a dicey one, because you don't really want people ratting out on each other. I know we got contacted one time, but the SPCA showed up because someone saw the horses in the field and thought, well, these poor horses but once they show up, they realize that they're sheltered and there's food and water and everything's there. But people sometimes think they're doing a good thing. Also, we have responsibilities with fencing, Nothing makes a good, a bad neighbor than a bad fence, or a good neighbor with a good fence. And it's not only that they can get on other people's property, but you can have some serious car crashes and things with livestock. And as we all know, rurally now, you can hardly swing a cat without some car going down a road these days. So that's kind of one of my bugaboos. Unfortunately, I'm older now, so I remember when you could walk for 2 miles down your road and no one would come by, and if it did, it was your neighbor. Now you got to jump in the ditch every time somebody goes by because you're afraid you're going to run over. So it's changing times. So that's up there. Again, if you need anything on that, you can go online. I think everybody's pretty connected now. So just go into that, also into our own strathconacounty.ca, and you can sift through that and find what we need, what you need to deal with us on that. Okay, just any questions on that part? I kind of wanted to get into the point presentations, the big ones, so I just wanted to. Okay, well, anytime, if you got any questions, ask them, or wait till we get to the question part, or I'll be here today and just have a chat if you need any more information.
Excuse me.
Oh, yes.
Do you know of any of the recycling places that might handle manure into composting?
That's a good question. We just at our conference this week, we talked about recycling. There were so many things I want to talk about. We only had a limited amount of time, but on twine, grain bags, bale wrap, these types of things. Also herbicide, pesticide containers, which we do collect. That here we're working with a new organization to increase that, but no, I don't know of anything with manure. I know, and I probably speak for most people here, we deal with our own. We have our own manure pile that we add to, and every spring I have people from this building coming out with their trucks, and I load them up with manure, and away they go. But we could certainly look into that. If you could, we could talk after. I'll give you my card. We'll find out what's going on, because we have probably one of the best waste collection and certainly recycling anywhere in the province, and we're always trying to find out more and more we can do.
Like we give ours away free. We just had an inquiry of whether they could come out with larger trucks, but it hasn't gone anywhere just yet.
Yeah, I think how that would work, it would probably have to be some of the local bigger operators that have the equipment. And if you had enough there where it was, workable for them to come out and to load and haul that away, I'm sure if there was, certainly some money to be made in it, that would certainly be an incentive also. But again, we can look into that. Thank you. So I'm going to fire up the point. As Gary had mentioned, this is a big project that's been underway basically, almost 28 years. That's the first time I met Gary. I was first elected in 1998, and I'm not joking, one of the very first people that called me was Gary, and he said, we need an ag facility. And I said, yeah, well, sounds good. We had just, Millennium Place had just come in online, and that was becoming a very big success, so we thought it was certainly time for the rural part of the county. One of the properties we looked at was the current dog park out on 222, but that didn't work because it was an ex-landfill, and anyhow. So over the years, it was there, and it just sort of percolated along. We didn't gain a lot of traction. Well, it probably wasn't until around 2009, 2010 that we started to get some ground on it, and then I retired from council in 2010, so it sort of fell into some new councilors' hands, and I know Bonnie Riddell had picked it up, and Paul Smith up in Ward 5, they sort of championed it and kept it moving along. And so the 2 terms I was out in 2017, when I decided to run again in my ward, it was on the radar. And but it was a difficult run, because we were really shooting for this absolutely Cadillac Mercedes building. I mean, it was beautiful. But it was still a fight on council. It was always close, one way or the other, where we were going to go. We knew it was going to cost money. So we pushed and just kept pushing and pushing. And then unfortunately COVID came, and we had some staff issues, and we came very close to losing the whole thing. I mean, it literally could have easily, council could have said, no, but we're out. We're not doing that. We're gonna put this money into the field house, which is on the books right now for Sherwood Park, which is a very good need for the community, but it would have knocked us out of the race. And of the 12 issues that we're dealing with at the time, there was only one rural item, and that was the point that we were dealing with. Everything else was Sherwood Park, so it was very frustrating again. But in the end, we did come through. We didn't get the budget. It had ballooned up to $140 million. We knew we had roughly $60 million to work with, and council finally said, that's it, not a penny more, you gotta do it with that. So we worked with Bird Construction, and this is the facility that we have. And we'll get into some details about tours and things near the end. So, state in my notes here, as I do have a tendency to drag on. So this facility is located, and how many know where the point is? How many have been out to the point? Well, the point is, you're familiar with Bremner House. The Bremner property, so Range Road 225 and Township Road 534. So if you go at Highway 21, you can see it from Highway 21 if you're heading toward the fort. And it's on the right-hand side. So in 2003, we had purchased the Bremner House for a historic value of 80 acres and the house, always with the future of agriculture and heritage. We were kind of planning ahead. It was a good price, we got it. So when we decided to build an ag facility, we still didn't know where it was going to go. There were different locations throughout the county. We ended up at the point, at Bremner House, because we had already owned some land there, and some more land came available. So we started out originally with 80, and we ended up with 230 acres that we purchased. And we decided that was the site. The proximity to Sherwood Park for the hotels, restaurants, we needed that connection. It would have been nice to have it out in my ward, but it was not practical. I mean, it just would take away from it. We needed to bring people in, and that was the key. We had the land. It was a win-win location. So again, in 2022, we pretty much said go, and it was on, and this is the facility. That's looking toward the northwest. So this is the site. You can see the building off to the left, still under construction. This was last fall. A lot of infrastructure we had to do on this project because there was no water or sewer up there. There was water, but we'll get to that. So we had to put in the sewage lagoons. These are evaporation sewage lagoons. And this is a stormwater collection, this area here, to help drain the site. It's a beautiful site. It's a class 1 soil. It was a bit of a heartbreaker to dig it up to build this facility, but yeah, it's just something we had to do, but we'll get into the whole ag side of it. So this is the site. So this is looking north, as you can see up here. So that's the CP rail that runs from Fort Saskatchewan, actually from Josephburg down into toward Sherwood Park into the rail yards there. So there's the Bremner House site, which we had this 80 acres here, and then we purchased this piece So that's the total coverage, like I said, 230 acres. There's the site, the entranceway is to the south, and there's basically 3 ways in, into the visitor parking, and then there's the overflow parking, but also the competitor parking, and 2 accesses in. And this is something we really had to get that information, and we really struggled in the beginning because a lot of people were giving us really good information and it wasn't being heard. And I'm not here to slam the people at the time, but it was really like pulling teeth. And Gary and Archie, who, you know, we worked on this, can certainly verify that. It was tough getting them to listen to the people that knew the industry. And that's what we needed to hear from. Because what do most people that aren't involved with this, they don't have a clue. And we really needed to listen. And in the end, I think we finally got there, but it was like pulling teeth. So we'll talk a little more about this parking a little bit more into the presentation. So the ring, the point building itself, and that's how it lays out on that site. So access Highway 21 is just a mile over, and 534 and 225. So good access from all directions. So this is the construction. This was just over a year ago, and you can start to see the frame of the building. At first I was a little concerned. I thought it just seemed small on paper, but we've been out there several times on visits, and I was actually quite surprised how big it is. It's 100,000 square feet in total, and a lot of room. So this area to the front, this is the ring, which we'll get into that, and then the back piece is the animal housing, which is all connected, and then the front is the lobby, the meeting rooms, the bathrooms, the concession area. There's private areas for meeting. We really thought that out to make it very functional. So here's an outlay of how it works. So we've got the main ring, which is, let me just get there. It's tough doing these on a podium because you've got a table presentation is always nice. All right, here we are. Sorry, just give me a second. I always think you got everything ready to go, and that's something. All right, here we are. So the animal housing area, my little pointers petering out here. The animal housing part to the west is 279 feet by 105 feet, and it also has a 3-bay wash area over here to my left, and this is the tractor storage area for moving things and equipment in that area here. And then on this side is staff quarters and also mechanical rooms on this side. Now what's really interesting is if you look, there's 3 great entranceways here that come in, and that nice big looping driveway that comes in. So there's lots of room, so not everybody's jammed up unloading or loading, and that was something we heard a lot of. And it was a pretty hard pulling teeth on that one, wasn't it, Gary? And but I think we've certainly made that work. So this is our stall area. Could it be bigger? Yes, we're looking at about 140 stalls that can fit in there, but we're also looking at some exterior use, maybe with a tent setup, depending on the weather. But we've also got the warm-up ring to the left that could possibly be used for that too. That would depend on who was renting and what type of activity was being used. So the main ring is 245 feet by 130. That's this area. And then outside we've got a warm-up ring it's not a roofed warm-up ring, but it will be constructed with this project. But these are the types of things that we've got the building. We can start to add the things that we need and get the money, and we can make this thing work. And that's the key. We gotta make it work, and then we can get the money to add on the more things that we need. But the key was to get this facility in the ground, and then we can spread out from there. Our seating capacity, it worked out to, let's see, the bleachers, and they seat 300 to 400 people in the bleacher area here, which again can still be added on. There's room to add that on. And then of course the entranceway, the lobby, and how that's laid out, you would come in this way, and meeting rooms, more meeting rooms here. This is this isn't the final drawing, I'm sorry, I couldn't get one, but the concession area is in this area here, which you'll see in one of the next pictures. The bathroom is very unique. It's basically a uni bathroom, but all the stalls are completely enclosed. Yes?
I don't think your pointer's working.
I know, it's, yeah, sorry. I'll try to point with my hand. So the bathroom area it's an open design, but the actual booths for the toilets and things are completely enclosed little rooms. So you can go in, they're completely, basically airtight, you can lock the door. So we don't have really a male-female bathroom setup in there with a central wash area, and then separate rooms for changing of children and the other things that go with it. This is also a mechanical room in this area and some of the staff area. So this is looking inside. This is how it's laid out. These are just drawings, of course. I mean, it could look totally different than this. But this is how the stalls would lay out. And again, really good access into the arena itself. Lots of access, so you're not bunched up. Lots of room, and lots of room internally to move animals without, again, not being crunched up, because we know how dangerous that can be. So I just put these in. These are some pictures of the first pour. The amount of concrete, there was a lot of debate whether we were going to go with a concrete floor or a dirt floor. It went back and forth, and in the end, we ended up with a concrete floor, which has its advantages too. And for an example, I'm saying we were at the Ag Conference this week in Edmonton, which the location is just horrible. We could do something like that here. We have the room. It would be a much better place to do that. So the concrete floor works well for that. The footing, we could talk for half an hour just on the footing itself. We hired the right people to come in to do the footing on that concrete, so that that whatever the activity is, it's going to work for them. Again, in another meeting, we can go into some more detail on these things, but this is just kind of an overview today. So that just kind of shows the inside of the facility. So clear span everywhere. It's just great. And again, another picture there, and this is looking at it again as the concrete's been poured. We're now in. This is the main entranceway. This top one. You'll see that's the concession area, which can also be used. It's a multi-use room, but it's there. These are some of the meeting room, in the washrooms. I was telling you about the individual stalls. And again, inside, lots of height, big doors. So if we're doing any kind, again, ag activities, we can bring in equipment for trade shows. Lots of room, lots of headroom. everything we need and very well lit. The lighting in there is incredible. This is the front as you're coming in. Again, there's that concession area behind the glass. Lots of glass along the front, very welcoming. We really played that down. The original plan had this beautiful Taj Mahal entranceway, to which we said, no. We need to focus on the actual workings of the building. And in Strathcona, we do tend to get a little carried away with everything has to be fancy. And we're saying, no, we just need it to be workable and make it so that it does what it wants. This room here, that's the tractor room in here. Now this was really interesting. We were well ahead of schedule and we were right on budget. In fact, we had a little room to play. But then all of a sudden, we had to tie in the water. Well, sometimes it can take up to 2 years to get a water line underneath a rail line. Well, our staff, and I gotta give our senior staff credit for this one, they worked with CP, and CP stepped up, and we had this water line in before Christmas, and we didn't think we were gonna have it by spring. Because it's a quite a complex way they put water lines under railroad tracks, because there's a lot of constant movement. So the water's in, it's all hooked up, and our sewage lagoons are all done. Everything is hooked up, and that really brought us right up to our schedule. In fact, we're right on schedule and right on budget today. We're just waiting now. It'll be in the next few weeks. Bird Construction will be handing the keys over to us, and then we'll get in there. And one of the very first things we're going to do is get you guys out on some tours. We've been able to tour it from council, but you have to take this construction course, and you have to have all kinds of. It's just, I guess it's good, but it's really, to me, it was a little over the top. But once we take over, then it'll be much easier, and we'll either bring people. You can meet us there for tours, or we'll bus people, whatever it takes to get you out there, because I really want everybody to see this facility. So here's another just breakdown of the lobby area. Again, I think this thing's just pretty much had. No, there we go. The washroom, mechanical room, the lobby, all the access into the main arena part. Meeting rooms back here. Again, this has changed. That's not part of that part of the drawing has changed. So this is looking at it inside. There's the entranceway there. So you would come in. This is the main lobby. Glass all the way along into the main arena with plenty of access doors in and out. The washrooms back there, and looking at it from the other side. Again, the lobby, and then access into the arena. Again, all glass. This is the main way in, and then the washrooms back in there. So again, looking back, entryway, looking back the other way, the concession multi-use room, a large meeting room, and then looking into the arena there. So again, there's a whole separate parking lot for the front half, and anyone that's using the facility, everything's set up at the back. So again, the multi-use room, the meeting room, which also has access from the arena. You don't have to come into the lobby to go in. There's multiple ways in and out. So if you're there with your team and whatever you're doing, you can access in, use the room, and access back out without actually coming through these doors here. Again, looking from the lobby into the arena area itself. The bleachers and things are just to the right of that. But like I said, there's plenty of room for more bleachers. And again, the meeting room, the multi-use room, and then back into the main area. This is looking at the inside of the meeting room. So again, if you're there, it gives people a chance to get together, go over what they're doing. But we heard that a lot, that there needed to be a place that people could meet. And this is the inside of the meeting room that looks out into the arena on the side there. So there was access to the lobby and then access to the arena itself. So how that'll work is, we really don't know how that'll work. I mean, we want to support a lot of food trucks also, but if any organizations wanted to do the concession to raise money for whatever it was, pony clubs or figure skating, whatever, they could use this facility for that, sorry. And so it's just kind of a common multi-use area. Again, it wasn't in the original plan, but we really pushed to get that in there because it was critical that we get something in there. Can't just continually depend on catering trucks and food trucks, which are great, but man, they can be expensive, really expensive. And if you can get a group that can get you a hot dog or a hamburger and a pop for $5 over, $30 for a beef on a bun, I mean, the option will be there, but it can really add up if you're spending a few days there. So this is pretty much it. There's so much more to this as far as details, but I'm kind of hoping maybe if you ask some questions, I can answer them for you, or certainly get you the
Just
answers.
before we ask the question, we've got a mic. We are recording this presentation, so by you using the mic means that our system picks it up. Question?
I have two questions. First being the sites for the parking, is there electrical ran to those?
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, I'll just get those information. I had all that.
And my second question being cost. This seems like quite a facility. I don't know if little 4-H clubs can afford this, so if you guys have thought of that.
Yes, on that, yes, we have. We've certainly considered that because, I mean, that's really what it's all about. It's a local building, and the last thing you want to do is exclude the taxpayers that are paying for it and cater out. Yes, we're depending on big shows and big people coming in here, but we also recognize the need for the 4-H clubs, the egg service groups, and all the other things in the community that people do, whether it's equine, dogs, whatever. We want to make sure that our pricing is affordable for everyone. So we're really looking at that, because again, what use is it if nobody uses it because we can't afford it? And it's like we always get beat up with this, certainly as councillors, but municipalities. They say, well, these things never make any money. Well, it really isn't designed to make money. I mean, sometimes something like Millennium Place, it almost pays for itself completely. So the more you use it, the more it'll pay for it. But what we're doing is we're creating services for our people. Just like we have arenas for skating, and we have swimming pools, and we have parks, and we have all these other things. I mean, even our roads. I mean, the roads don't pay, yet we use them all the time. So a facility like this is just another opportunity for our residents to use, because we're catering, because we know that we have a lot of people that, certainly in the equine industry, I mean, we're constantly, Strathcona is constantly banging on this, the horse capital of Canada, and yet we really didn't have anything to back it up. So that was part of standing up to that, but also having something for that segment of our population to use. It's not always about hockey, and I know that that's it's important to a lot of us, but this is also important to us too. I'm sorry, I'll get you those numbers, okay? Was there anything? Okay, up at the top there, Gary, I'll just.
I was just wondering about the numbers of livestock. Like, what are you forecasting for the numbers?
I don't know.
Like, what would be your limited amount of animals being able to attend on the building?
Well, I guess it would, I mean, It's kind of a hard one to answer because we've designed that parking lot that's fully equipped with power, which I'll get you those numbers. Because we heard that a lot, that people come in with their trailers, they might be there for a short period of time and they gotta move on. So we've really developed that side. The animal housing side, we would have what's internal, I guess, if you counted, say, 140 stalls, but from what I understand, some people might rent 2 or 3 boxes for other things, so that would limit livestock. There could be outside storage of livestock also, or people, again, keeping their livestock in the parking lot area. Is that helping, or?
Yeah, and the other question is, for that many amount of animals, or the limited amount of animals that can be in there, will there be a plan for possibly extending on the wash bays? Because I'm not sure 3 wash bays and that many stalls, or projection on that stalls would handle that much.
Yes, our plan is, if everything goes well, and this succeeds, this project, and the more we use it, then that gives us the opportunity to say, you know, we add on. And the design of this building was designed that you could just incrementally add on to it. And that's something we would look at. But again, I have to go back, we only had so much money, and this is all we could get for that. But again, if this works out the way I think it is, and most people do, we will be able to add on and put in those extra wash bays, and a lot of those amenities like closed-in outside rings, more closed-in animal housing, all of that is there for the future.
And you mentioned about cost, like, okay, the building itself not making any money. But the biggest problem, I believe, as an average show person, is it's not so much buildings making money, it's actually the people with memberships or clubs that are struggling to pay for things like this and make money. They don't really make a lot of profits or anything off here, most times breaking even or breaking below even, because it's really hard to get or encourage people right now
Right.
to attend things now.
Yeah, no, and we understand that. Again, like I said, you build a facility, well, you have to, that's where you have to compensate for that. You can't just hand out ridiculous costs to use the facility because no one would use it. And so we have to absorb that. And that's where I was saying we kind of get beat up sometimes. People say, well, yeah, you built this thing for $60 million, and now it's costing us $2.5 million a year to run it.
That's right, but clubs and groups can't even afford.
That's right. So
it's
it's
happened to Winoka quite a bit. It's just too expensive for them to use.
right.
The other factor is, I know what you're getting at, build it and they will come. But in this case, we are struggling, even keeping our groups alive and memberships alive. And so I think that's what a lot of it is, if the groups themselves can't find a profit margin somewhere, it's gonna be very difficult to utilize such a beautiful building.
Yes. No, thanks for the question. You're absolutely right. And it is something that we certainly hear, and hopefully we can make that work out on the pricing. And I think we will. We have to.
Other questions? Kathy?
Oh, yeah.
What's the target date for being open for business?
We've got a soft opening. We're hoping sometime probably around May, maybe June, and then we want to have a big kickoff in August, which will, be the flat out, everything's done, ready to go. But we really would like to get a spring opening here with something going on. So again, we're just waiting. We're going to take possession here probably within the next week or two, and then we'll really start to ramp up that soft opening, we call it. But the sooner the better.
I have a question.
I guess it has to do with the decision to go with a concrete base. And I know the idea of footing is a really deep issue, no pun intended.
No, yeah.
I guess my question is, whenever I hear concrete going into a facility that's ag directed, I get a little nervous that it's not. And I know it's supposed to be a multiple use facility, but I guess my question is, in the off season when the shows aren't coming in, is this gonna be set up as an equine ag facility? Is there gonna be an arena there with acceptable footing to bring in 4-H clubs to work in the winter when they don't have an indoor arena? Or is it gonna be a figure skating rink?
No, and that again was part of the debate, because the county said, well, can we make this kind of like a recreational area? And yes, Recreation Parks and Culture will run the facility, but we said, no, this is an agriculture facility. So I'm hoping that that floor is in almost all the time. It is going to be designed that it could be taken out in the case of say, some kind of activity like a conference or something like that. But overall, we're looking to keep that floor in.
So in the winter time, like these small clubs can come
Absolutely,
in and work
yes.
their horses?
Yeah, absolutely, yes, yeah.
Anybody else? I think Glenn is sticking around.
Yes, yeah, no, anybody got anything, I'll try to answer again if it was very quick. But we can certainly come back and we can zero down on some other things. The footing was another big topic and how that all laid out. But again, I want to thank everybody for coming out. And again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to talk to me, or Corey's here too. And we'll try to answer them, or we'll definitely get you the answers.
Thank you.
Great, thank you guys. Sorry.